Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome once more to another video podcast of Political News Time. I am your hostess, Alex Mayers. I hope all of you out there are having a wonderful start to your week. Now, tonight we are going to talk about how racism and white privilege specifically does allow for a certain type of criminal. Now, as those of you out there are aware, my political views have been shifting and whatnot. And truthfully, the last thing I want to talk about is race. Okay, because honestly, I'm not even sure race is real. It's not something that can be biologically quantified. Okay, it cannot be scientifically measured. But I suppose what I'll say is maybe instead of racism, I should use the term tribalism. And certain tribes have dark complexions, other tribes have light complexions. So, I guess it's easier to just, chalk it all up to race. So just to simplify things tonight, we'll just call what we're going to talk about tonight race, even though it could in actuality be rooted in a form of evolution that the modern day hominid is undergoing as of current. But anyway, I was looking at Jason Quinlan's Twitter last night, and I swear he is so freaking hot. I love just looking at pictures of him, to be honest with you. I think he's really cute. But anyway, I was looking at his Twitter, and he always posts really interesting tweets when it comes to politics, because a lot of people don't realize this about Jason Quinlan. Even though he looks like, a little bit of a wild guy, he's got the tattoos on his arms and all that kind of stuff. And at one point in time, he worked in the adult entertainment industry as actually one of the upper tier internet developers, but he is actually a conservative when it comes to his political views and maybe even how he lives his life. He might look like he walks on the wild side on the outside, but on the inside, he's like a little, meek, calm pussycat. That's maybe why he likes cats. But he often tweets his political views. You can follow him on Jason Quinlan 7. And he posted a really interesting article and a link to an article in regards to Bill Cosby. Yes, he did. And I feel like Bill Cosby haunts me. My entire life, I've had to deal with a bit of negativity, actually, when it came to Cosby, because like many Americans out there, I grew up watching the Cosby Show, which gave me a bit of a complex because I thought to myself, well, how come my family doesn't get along all the time like the Cosby Show? Because that was really the only model of a black family that I had to look at growing up where I grew up. I grew up in Spring, Texas, in the midst of a predominantly white neighborhood. Truth be told, I didn't even know how to be black until my early teens when my parents divorced. But so I had that to contend with. Then on top of that, all the kids in my neighborhood thought I was Rudy from the Cosby Show. I was labeled a Cosby. Then I grow up, get out into the world a bit, delve into the adult entertainment industry, and what happens? The adult movie I'm best known for is an adult parody of The Cosby Show. Not The Cosby's Triple X, not just number 1, but number 2 as well. I played the mother. So I'm haunted by all things Cosby and Huxtable consistently. It's crazy. It's sick. And I thought I'd come to peace with it once I came to peace with my choices of having worked in the adult entertainment industry, but around that time, that's when all the sexual allegations came out against Bill Cosby. So it all kind of came crashing at me again. And I thought that he'd gone away, since he was he was taken to task legally. And I'm like, all right, finally, no more Cosby. But no, Jason Quinlan has to tweet him because he's back in the news. And this is from Time.com, Time magazine. I'm going to read a bit of it to you. Here's the headline. Bill Cosby cites systemic racism as he seeks appeal in sexual assault conviction. This is out of Philadelphia by Mary Claire Dale of the Associated Press. Thanks, Mary Claire. In a nearly empty Philadelphia courtroom in June of 2015, a lawyer for Bill Cosby implored a federal judge to keep the comedian's testimony in an old sexual battery lawsuit under wraps. It was sensitive, embarrassing, private. U.S. District Judge Eduardo Robreno had another word for it. The conduct Cosby detailed in his deposition was perhaps criminal, Robreno wrote 5 years ago, Monday, in a momentous decision that released the case files to the Associated Press, reopened the police investigation, and helped give rise to the Me Too movement. Cosby, the Hollywood paragon of Black family values, was convicted of sexual assault in 2018 as the movement exploded and women across the globe shared personal histories of sexual harassment and abuse. He is serving up to 10 years in prison. And now, in the midst of another historic reckoning, this time addressing the treatment of African Americans and other people of color by police and the criminal justice system, the 82-year-old Cosby has won the right to an appeal. He hopes to use the moment to his advantage. Quote, "The false conviction of Bill Cosby is so much bigger than him. It's about the destruction of all Black people and people of color in America," end quote, Cosby spokesperson Andrew Wyatt said when the court accepted the appeal late last month. Cosby, who grew up in public housing in Philadelphia, has complicated relationship with the Black community. He earned acclaim for his groundbreaking and intentionally race-blind performances on television in the 1950s, mingled but rarely marched with civil rights leaders and the Black elite in the 1960s, and solidified his wealth and power with his star turn as America's dad on The Cosby Show in the 1980s. But you know what? Let's stop there, because they leave something out of this shit. They're not talking about his very close friendship with Hugh Hefner, which is, at least from my perspective, what this is really about. When Cosby is claiming that he's experiencing systemic racism, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Why am I talking together?
No, wait. I just wanted to ask Sam, since you're one of our great singers of our times, would you sing a song for Robert Culp and his wife? We prefer to hear Because.
Oh, thank you. Pilot.
Hello there.
Yes,
Hey.
I need you. I need
You
you.
do, eh?
Yes.
You brought me out to look at an empty Hollywood Bowl.
No. I brought you out here because it is empty, and I need you to say some magical words to fill it up.
Magic words.
Yes, fill it up.
The Playboy Jazz Festival.
Yes, June 11th and 12th.
For Cosby to I guess the term would be pull the race card, when it comes to these allegations of sexual assault and sexual misconduct against him that have come about, from multiple parties over the years. For him to say it's systemic racism, he's right, but he's wrong. He got away with it for years, from my perspective at least, due to benefiting from racism. Bill Cosby is quite possibly one of the biggest benefiters of tokenism that's ever been within the United States of America. Okay? But he also is one of the biggest recipients of the injustice that's practiced by the United States legal system when it comes to racism, when it comes to the specific type of crime that he allegedly committed, which has to do with sexual misconduct or sexual assault. I'm not even sure which it is. Don't sue me, Cosby. I don't have any money, you jerk. But anyway, the type of crime that he has been accused of is a crime that, were he someone of European descent, he probably never would have been taken to task legally. And I'm talking about two types of crimes, but that fall all under the same umbrella: pimping and prostitution. That's why I brought up his connection with Hugh Hefner. They just barely glossed over what he was up to in the from like the 50s to the 70s, when they mentioned him hanging out with civil rights people. Because you know who was really big when it came to civil rights, and especially when it came to the civil rights of people of color? Hugh Hefner. But you want to know why? At least from my perspective, why? Because he was using blacks and civil rights as a shield to cover up a bit of what he was doing. Hugh Hefner's dead now, and if his estate wants to come after me for saying this, so be it. Hugh Hefner, from my perspective, was a pimp. All right? He got away with having that mansion of his and pimping those playmates for one reason and one reason alone. He was a white dude. There is another white man in America who is similar to Hugh Hefner, a man known as Larry Flint. But like Hugh Hefner, actually, he tried to use African Americans as a shield when he posted a pictorial featuring an interracial couple. And he went too far with it, because you know what he did, or what happened to him? There was an assassination attempt against Larry Flint. That's how he ended up in that golden wheelchair. Interracial porn. That's why I really am floored at the audacity of AVN and Tony Rios to attempt to eradicate that IR label, because everything that Tony Rios has is built upon the foundation that Larry Flint ended up in that wheelchair in regards to. Why are you slapping Larry Flint in the face, Tony Rios? Why are you doing that? Better be careful, because what happened to Larry Flint could happen to anybody. Really could. But anyways, that's what I feel Bill Cosby is talking about when he's talking about systemic racism, because he knows damn well that if he's in trouble for things that he was up to many years ago when it came to women, he knows damn well that quite a few other people who enjoy white privilege in Hollywood and on the fringes of Hollywood, they should be taken to task legally for the exact same things, but they're not. And the reason that they're not is due to having the complexion for the protection. Yeah. So, considering all the blessings that Bill Cosby enjoyed over the years, he should be grateful to the racism in America because he got to be that shining star example that was put on a pedestal. He actually made it harder for other black actors because he was put on a pedestal and he was often made the one in certain situations. He kind of blocked the door for a lot of black actors because, the producers and the studios at the time, they were like, well, we already have one show that revolves around African Americans. We got Cosby over here. Sorry, we can't have another one. You kind of had to be a part of Cosby's little circle or mafia, will you say, in order to even make it to see the light of day in Hollywood. I feel that his shows negatively impacted my life. Like I said, everyone expected me to behave like a Cosby because of that goddamn show. It was unrealistic. It gave me an unrealistic picture of how the world really worked, how harsh and real racism and bigotry truly is. It forced me to feel this need to overachieve in my life. It made me feel as though I didn't achieve enough because I didn't grow up to become a doctor or a lawyer like the Cosbys, the Huxtables. I think Cosby did more harm than good. Sorry, just my opinion. Just my opinion. I feel that Cosby was very detrimental to a lot of women. I don't think all the women who came out against him told the truth, but I think enough did to where he kind of set a standard of misogyny. He helped that along in Hollywood, and that's not cool. So have a good night, everybody. Take care. Be smart. Use your brains. Love yourself, but don't be afraid to hate yourself, because from hating yourself comes that desire to self-improve. Okay? You don't want to become stagnant or too comfortable, because when you do, you get stuck in life and you don't go much anywhere. Have a good night. Bye-bye.